All right, all you devils out there, bloodied though you may be, well, we're going to take a look at this carnage here in crypto. Right? Of course, we'll start with Bitcoin. I've got brave new coin here. Now, let's start by saying and just acknowledging that throughout this entire correction, right, long has been wrong. Just as wrong as it can be. Now, of course, there are things, we don't want to just blame it on the black swan, the unforeseen. I mean, is that a part of it? Yeah, this is human error. Perhaps it cries out for those that are advocates for a decentralized exchange or moving in that direction. So we have mixed cries from across crypto space. Those that are acknowledging that this is, is it greed? Is it hubris? What is it, right? I mean, you could go back and you start with Celsius and, the litany of blow-ups here based on, let's just call it what it is, right? Greed, right? Fear and greed is what moves the market. Greed certainly has toppled many before, and it certainly is hurting a lot of people here. Now, again, we can't just say, it's this guy's fault, it's that guy's fault. Now, that having said that, we got to trade through it. It's just the reality. People fuck up, right? And that's markets react. I will tell you, I've been through many of these. This is one thing I can tell you from 30 years of doing this, that there's very little I haven't seen. I mean, I was through the .com crash, 08, 09. I've just seen this. It always makes me chuckle a little bit when I see, I call them kids, right? I have kids older. People in their 20s, right? They're giving, they're going to show you how to get rich in trading crypto or FX or whatever, right? I just chuckle. Not to be smug about it, but I just know that they don't have the experience. So if you're taking your advice from people in their 20s, I would just encourage you to think about what the historical precedent what kind of experience they have to work through. What experience base do they have to draw on? They don't, right? It's non-existent, right? I've seen people, all they've known is just a Bitcoin rally. Anyway, so let's get off of that, right? So here's the reality, right? The market is down hard. I mean, that is really a significant event is what's happening with FTX, and it's not likely to get better anytime soon. So for crypto bulls or Bitcoin bulls, right? We'll probably have to make that distinction here. This is going to slow us down. I mean, will building continue? Yes, the building will continue. The evolution of crypto will continue, but the builders need capital, and they're going to be, I think, a bit more hard-pressed to be raising venture capital until we get some stability in the market. Now, do we have it here with this little rally today? We call it CPI or a snapback. I don't know that we can look at this and say, well, that's a good-looking bottom. I think that's unlikely. I think there is more downside to go. So I will say this, right? So for anyone who's been looking to try and get long here, and I include myself, right? I mean, I am very long, but my position is a little bit different, right? I've been, most of my buys and Bitcoin coming into my wallet, for lack of a better way to say it, has been happening, mostly during this period. So this is a little bit easier for me to just sit here and be kind of casually going, okay, we've been seeing this before. Where it's really difficult is for people that were buying it, these guys, right? Bought this, right? Thinking, here we go. So this is a lot of drawdown. So the mistake is not necessarily looking to take a trade like that. Or through this entire thing, there's been all sorts of, are we done here? It's going to be a triangle, right? I mean, I've been about as wrong as anybody could be, as any bull can be, right? If you're a bull, you've just been wrong since the top. So what to do now? Well, again, I would propose to you, and again, this is off of a lot of experience and trading for a long time, the mistake would not have been, oh shit, even if we just sit here and look, I'm on the Brave New Coin index here, so there's a lag on this, but we can use this just for the broader context here, since we have our most history. Rally, retrace, to be looking to get long there, that's not the mistake. I mean, you could look at any of these potential pivots. To be looking long there is, I would propose to you, that's not the mistake. To take that retrace and to try and push for that, that's not the mistake. The mistake would be, let's assume you're trading with spot, right? The mistake would be working with capital that you can't afford to have parked here. So this is where a whole lot of people transition from speculators to hodlers, right? So if you need this capital, that's going to be a problem, right? Because you're probably buried here for a while. If you're trading with leverage, I'd like to assume that, you've either been liquidated or your stops have been hit. So there's definitely, losses are severe and painful, and I don't want to make light of that. All of that said, the question is, now what? Now what? Well, certainly you're going to see a lot across the financial, what do we want to call it? Ecosphere. What am I trying to say? Just from the talking heads to the financial news to what you're going to read online, you're going to hear a whole lot of, I told you so. I told you this was rat poison or whatever the fuck they're talking about. Told you so. Well, it's hard to argue with them at this moment in time, right? Since the high, it's been a lot. You could be, rat poison, and that's hyperbolic, right? But it's certainly, to be long has been wrong. Now, having said that, okay, let's just back up for a second. What are we doing here? We have a completed impulse, and we're going through a rather complex correction. Is it more than this? Is it now? It could be, right? I mean, could be, but do we not, at the end of the day, have an impulse here, which I think we most agree with, and then a correction? And as we approach the fit, now it looks a whole lot better. Let's be very, very clear about this. In log scale, what's the big deal? Right now, let's take it out of log scale. That's the big deal, right? I mean, that's severe, right? I mean, about as severe as you might see across, this looks like a whole lot of alts, right? I mean, that's severe as it can be. So there's very much a question here. Are you looking at it in log or are you looking at it in arithmetic? Well, with a range from 3,000 to roughly 70,000, it seems like it would be foolish not to at least look at it in log, right? I mean, I understand if you want to look at it here, okay, right? I mean, well, let's just use the volume profile here. We're pretty much coming right back into accumulation, right? It's be hard pressed to call this anything other than accumulation. So we're back down to test it all. I mean, it's just about as ugly as it can be. Well, it can get uglier. And if we apply some Elliott Wave here, it certainly does not look like it's done. Now, all that said, let's come back to log scale and see if we can make some sense out of a target here. So if we look at this, and I'm going to stay in log scale, which half for my own sanity. If we're going to look at it in log scale here, having just framed what we're coming back into, can we get a count here that would fly? Well, so for Bitcoin to make a retrace here to a log scale golden zone and all of this structure, not like, oh God, that's a crazy thought. I mean, we know Bitcoin loves the golden zone, right? We know the algo fire's in here. So, okay, this is not unreasonable in log scale. So at this point, given this move here, if we're looking at, God, how are we going to finish this? How can this finish? And, with the tools, rules, guidelines that we have, how can we get this to finish? Well, I think this is about as close to a good read on this that can get us to finish down here at the golden zone as we're likely to find. Oh shit, I haven't seen everybody's counts, but this is a count that Sensei James M and I kind of back and forth exchanging ideas. This is really, he kind of pointed me in this direction. I was kind of struggling with my projections were getting a little bit too far south. So I think this works. Now, it does have a little bit of there's an accommodation to the market here. So well, let's just zoom in here a little bit here before we go to a trading chart right here, because this lags by a day. All right, so I'm on the daily, so this is yesterday. So we haven't seen the kickback today, but we'll get to that in a second. So how can this work? Well, and this is a good thought from James M here, that we've got a 1-2-1-2 here, and that allows it, because if you were thinking, this is what I was struggling with. If we're going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, then you're trying to work a WXY in here, and it starts to fall apart. It doesn't look like there's a clean finish. But if we take it this way, as the 1, 2, and then allow for the 1, 2 here, 3, 4, and put this as the 3, this now becomes a clear ABC into a 4, right? With the break here. Well, now we're looking for a 5 to finish it. So the thought being, if it's A, B, and we've just done a 3, 4, well, we can get a path here to get us to finish, but it's going to require, the market's going to have to accommodate this thinking, because if as it's drawn here, and we're going to hold this labeling, we'd have an ending diag right here. So we'd have an ABC into a 1, ABC into a 2. We just put in the A, we're working on the B before we come down for the C. So the implication per this Elliott count is that we've got more to go here in the third. Now, this is where the market has to accommodate. So that would be down here. Oh, wait a second, this would be down here. The market has to accommodate this count, because we have to come back and we have to tag that 1. Right? If it's going to hold, if we're going to do it as an ABC, right? 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, we got to come back. We got to overlap that 1, right? And then we can come down here and get that done. Oh, let's see here. This is gonna. Right, that's what has to happen. So it does look like 1, 2, and this is, there's a little bit of a squish in here, but you'd have to do it A, B, C. Well, there's a double bottom here, so it almost doesn't matter which pivot you use. So there's the 1. You're going to have to do an A, B, C into a 2. Looks like A is in, B is what we're going through today, right? Then C brings it down. Now maybe we stay in alignment with this set of median lines. That's a modified shift. So essentially it's just a channel, right? Modified shift, but note the median line, pretty solid here. But this becomes absolutely critical to this count, right? The little double here, we got to overlap that, right? This has to happen, right? For this count to play. I almost keep it in log scale to keep you sane, I think. And I say, I don't mean to be flippant saying that. I mean, out of log scale, this is, okay, let's look at it. But again, given that range, I think to be doing your analysis here in log scale with a $67,000 range, I don't think that's overly hopium heavy. I think that's just a valid way to look at the market, right? So I'm acutely aware of how it looks outside of log scale, right? So you got to make your own decision here about, are you prepared to hold? Now, I'm going to give you one suggestion here of something that I think was really worthwhile. Oh, there's a number of companies that really have pioneered all the on-chain analysis here. Glassnode is one of them. They've got just a terrific video here. I think anyone who's wondering what the fuck is going on, this would be worthwhile to watch here. Oh shit, if I bring this over, let's see here. This is unusual for me to be promoting another YouTube channel, but these guys are so good. So let me just bring this over here. The fall of the FTX empire on Glassnode. Well, I would strongly recommend a subscription there. All right, go ahead and subscribe to them. That's worth the 28 minutes to watch. I would highly recommend that. I think you'll get I think you'll feel better about that. Certainly, it's interesting how they talk about new money, old money, and what hodlers are doing right now and how money is moving, and they really dissect how the Alameda FTX shenanigans were going on, and it's kind of revealing, and once again, revealing how human error is creating all of this. This is almost always the case. So if we look at this coming down here now, so I've switched over to a trading chart here. So of course this is our This is our preferred exchange over on BitGet here. So I'm on BitGet. I'm now down to a 4 hours. See how we can play this out. So we'd have to work it as an A, as a B. Right? Again, here's the 3, here's the 4. Now we're trying to finish down here. So the whole idea is that can we finish? Oh shit! I don't know if I can do it in a 4 hour. Can we finish this thing as an ABC through all the could be, maybe, could. I mean, this was not unreasonable to be thinking 1, 2. Really, I mean, a lot of really sharp technicians were looking at this, going, "Okay, that's a good-looking base that's building down here." And we went for so long. This is such it's a shock to the system, no doubt about it here. And again, I don't think the damage is. I don't think. Well, shit. I mean, I'd love to be wrong. Oh, some very good technicians here are looking at this as a potential. No, let's pull it over here as a Wyckoff setup. All right, so this would be the spring, right, to get everybody short, and then they're just going to kick it back in their face, right? So here's all the breakout traders, right, pile on, right, and now, oh, wait a second. Again, I can say this till I'm blue in the face. What a horrible place to short the market. Now I say that, right, because the assumption is so people that shorted it. Now, if you shorted it and you took your profit, well, good for you, good trade. But if you shorted it thinking, oh, okay, well, this is just going to free fall and we're going down to 5,000, 3,000, well, you're already a little nervous, aren't you? You're a little bit uncomfortable here because wait a minute, right? I bought the breakout. I sold the breakout. All right, now, if you, well, let's look at it this way. If you sold this, right, hope you got your profit because you're underwater now. Same with this here. If you sold that, oh. And this is just a great example, again, not to digress here, why that's such a horrible place, right? So how would you know, right? So maybe if you had some, oh, my risk reward was XYZ, or perhaps you were using an algo as a target. Right? I mean, these are very legitimate, right? You almost got second target. So if you took this one, this is, oh my God, shit, here I'm digressing. This is a great trade, right? And you could ride through that little breakout. Same thing here, right? We could look at this one. Oh, you got to do that one out of log scale. Oh shit, I'm wrong here. Pardon me. Oh, there was a 50 here. Oh, maybe it's in log scale. There it is. Okay, so again, right? It's a little bit of back and forth here. Do you need to be in log here? Not really. But then you're looking at a front run, right? Did they use that? Either way, they got target. But so the point being, this, you want to be short going into one of the, that's not where you enter. That's where you're looking to take profit because of exactly what you're seeing here, you're vulnerable to that. Don't make yourself vulnerable to that because you won't have good judgment here because you'll be panicked. As soon as it starts to come back, you're going to get out, right? So, and what is likely to happen? Right. So, okay, let's put this back together. Now, can we finish this thing? Okay, so let's get this out of here. Can we finish this? Well, it certainly is implying much lower prices. So if we think about where the golden zone is, as we were just looking at Brave New Coin, it's about 92, call it 9 to 10. So this would be, if I do it down here, bring it over. This is approximately where the golden zone is. So if we're looking at this going, okay, there's the 1, there's the 2, I'm looking for a bigger 3. So you're kind of trying to forecast, okay, well, how much of a 3 can I get here? I got to come all the way back here to do that. Okay, well, so let's see if we can put it together. If heavy emphasis, if the A is in, well, let's break it down. Let's go to the 4 hour. If the A is in and we're putting in the B. Well, first off, that's not enough. Let's go to a 2 hour. Can we call the A in? Does it look like it's in? It kind of does. Oh, we're going to have to dig in a little deeper there. Okay. Let's get here. Now I'm going to come out of log scale because I don't need it here. Well, this is a little bit of a monkey in the wrench. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So there's a 1, 2 here. That, how do we call that? Anything but impulsive. 3, A, oh shit. Probably triangle. something like that. If it's down to a smaller time frame, there's likely triangle-ish in here. And maybe not. Maybe we have to do it here. 1, 2. Oh, Jesus, that's going to be tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Extension in the fifth, or we're going to do it as a triangle and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It does. You really don't want to go 1, 2, because then you end up with something. You end up with a different with an extra degree. So we kind of want this to be done here. This is too small. Hang on. Here we kind of want this A to be done. Now, is this enough for the B? Now remember, we got to come all the way back here for this to fly. We got to come back to this pivot here. Let's get you right on it. Okay, so this we have to get here, but this not in the B. Assuming this is the A, this won't do it. Well, I mean, per this count, right, as I'm approaching it here, the overlapping here is not what we need. We need the overlap once the 3 is done, assuming this is a 3, right? We don't know for sure. But it kind of looks like, oh, I got the A of the B going in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, shit, let's go to a 1 here. See, 1, 2, right? So it looks like we've got the A of the B going in, right? A, B, C, something along those lines. Well, let's change the color so we rotate. A, B, C of a B. Let's go up a degree so we stay consistent. Okay, so we've got a candidate here, right, based off of that 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, 1, 2. We want the A to be a little bit higher, but not too much. See, what's going to create a problem here, if this doesn't, we want this to go a little bit higher, because we want this to go deeper, but not so far that the pushback to overlap the 1 is going to be too much, right? This is we got to get back to 17. What is it? 1770. Call it. We got to get. That's a big lift for the 4 before we go down again. Right? It's a little bit problematic, but that's looking at what we've got here, right? You're better not to try and overthink it. You're better to say, okay, what is the market showing me? Where are the 5s? Where are the 3s? That's a 5. Is this going to be a 3? Well, it could be. Or again, we go down to a 30-minute. Do we look like we're done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, A, B. We kind of want this to go a little bit further. The further up the B is, then we're going to assume that the C isn't going to be as deep, because the B is so deep. So that makes it easier for us to come back for the 4. So we kind of want this to go up. Does that make sense? Are you following me there? We don't want this to be shallow, because then it likely, let's see if I'm drawing this out. We don't want it to be here, because then this can get too far. We want this to be higher, so when we come back down for the C, it's not such a big lift to come back for the 4. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, I'm forecasting again, just partly based off of experience, and just based off of, okay, well, I can look at this. If that's the A, I want this B to come back higher, because I don't want a deep C for the 3. Makes the lift back for the 4 too heavy. Okay, so let's look at that. Okay, if this is, oh shit, either one of these could do it. It's a double bottom, so it doesn't really matter which one of these you use. A, B, C into the 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we can't do it. Can't make a 2 there. Oh, Jesus Christ. 1, 1. Oh, fuck. Well, you might have to do it here. I don't think we can get it done. I might have to do it right over here. Come here. Put it there. So it's a slight, again, you could use either one of these, although I don't see how we can, because that gets too low. That could be a little bit, does it matter, right? With this, I don't know that it does, right? And essentially they're double bottom. So whether you're using that for A, B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the C gives you the 2. Okay, 1. Let's make it bigger. 1, 2. 1. Or pardon me, A. Looking for B, looking for C. All right, all of this suggesting we're coming down to test, call it 12 to 9, anywhere in that range. That's ugly, right? It's painful, right? If you're trading with leverage, you're probably stopped out or liquidated. If you're trading in spot, right, it's a question of, okay, does it make sense to be, if we come back, where are we here? Would this make sense to be dollar cost averaging here? Well, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not giving anyone financial advice. That's what I'm going to do. As a matter of fact, I'm probably spread it out through this section here. Probably just layer that and just dollar cost average on the way down. Right? I mean, everybody knows, watches me or been seeing any of my content, knows I'm a hodler, right? I'm not going anywhere. Seen this before, been through many of these. This is one thing you'll note if you do watch that Glassnode video. This is, we are not blowing away. This is, well, let me rephrase that. So I'm saying this is now the worst crypto bear market we've seen in its life cycle. So this is ugly, right? There's just no way around it. So it requires a lot of patience. People are hurt here. I mean, some very, very, very successful, very smart people with tremendous backgrounds and track records in the financial markets have just been blown away here. Just absolutely blown away, from Sequoia to Tom Brady. I mean, this is not that he's a financial wizard, but he can afford to pay the best people. So this is hurting a lot of people. There's no way around it. So I don't in any way want to make light of that. I have been as wrong as anyone could be, right? I've been looking for the buy opportunities, right? But my premise all along has been 3 to 5 years. The deeper this goes. Well, we've talked about some of the ideas. If this had been a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, it wouldn't have had the same. Well, if you're applying an Elliott count to it, it's not going to have the same upper trajectory for a third. If we're going to come, well, here, I'll leave you with just a little bit of hopium. Oh, can I do it? Here, let's do it this way. Let's not completely despair. Let's just assume, just for the sake of conversation. That's not what I want. This one will have all three of them. If this is 1, and we do a golden zone, that puts your 3, 1.7 million. Is that going to happen? Well, I wouldn't be continuing to buy down here if I didn't think that was going to happen. Right? I think it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Now the when likely just got pushed out. Could be as much as a year. I know. I caught myself saying that. It could easily be that. It could be longer for all we know. There's a whole lot going on behind the scenes here. The question about regulation is going to get interesting. There's a lot remains to be seen here. So you're really at that point where you're either a believer and a hodler, and this is just whatever. I've seen it before, or you're generally questioning whether or not this is an asset class you want to be in. And if that's the case, well, then this is a perfect example of why diversification would make sense for any investor. To have all of it in crypto, well, depending on your age, I can really understand how 20, 30-year-old people would have all of it in crypto. That's where it's exciting. That's where it's interested. Nobody wants to trade their grandfather's markets. Right? I understand that thinking, and it's a large percentage of our customer base is crypto only. Right, so maybe this is a time to think about that diversification. There's nothing that we teach can't be applied to every single market. I mean, I've been showing that for 4 years, right? The market doesn't matter. So are there other alternatives now? Well, there are, right? It's not the raging stock market, but there are certainly trading opportunities. If you're a trader, it doesn't really matter. What you want is volatility. Up, down, doesn't matter. Right? In crypto, a little bit different, right? So anybody who loves the crypto space is inherently a bull. Well, I shouldn't say that, right? There may be people in here that are here just to take advantage of the sell-offs and the volatility, but the majority of people that are in here trading crypto are long-term bulls. They want to see the entire ecosystem thrive because it has tremendous advantages over what we have now. Right? As I've long said, I just consider all of crypto just evolution. It's just evolution. So why doesn't this, while my fucking portfolio is down sharply. So I'm feeling the pain, but I'm not realizing the pain. I don't need that money right now. someday, right? But I don't need it. So it's not like I go, oh, fuck, man, how am I going to pay the mortgage next month? That's not the kind of thing happening. So, and if you're thinking that, well, that was the true mistake. It's easy to say, well, don't trade with money. You can't afford to either lose. And in this case, if you're a spot trader, to have be illiquid for you. That would be the mistake, right? That you're trading with money you need. I don't need this capital, so I'm not sweating, but for anyone who does or who is sweating, I've been there, I feel your pain, and there's really not much to do. There's way too much uncertainty to make a strong commitment to one side or the other than, for many people, just getting out there's a relief that comes there. So if you're underwater and in pain, getting out will relieve it, right? You're going to lock in some losses, but you live to trade another day. So be careful about just trying to absorb all of this based on what's appropriate for your risk tolerance and your account size and all of those things you hear, right? That it's always like, yeah, I got it, right? Until it's actually happening to you. So this too shall pass, right? I am, again, for what it's worth, I am not worried about the long-term viability of the crypto ecosystem, but many will. And you're going to hear a whole lot of people probably for the rest of the year and long into next year talking about, told you it was rat poison, told you it was bullshit, told you it was just a Ponzi scheme, right? I mean, you're already seeing it. So you got to have conviction, right? And that comes back to, I can't tell you what to do. It's not my job to tell you what you do. I'm trying to teach you how to analyze what's happening here. So take that for what it's worth. I hope everybody just don't panic, right? Panic leads to emotional decisions, which are almost always the wrong decision. If you're in trouble and this is creating hardship for you, well, the best thing to do is just get out. If you're in and you're a holder and you can ride it out, well, really, the question is, where's the next time for me to be thinking about adding? I mean, that's what I'm looking at. If I get golden zone, I can promise you I'll be a buyer there. I may be a buyer here at the 50, but I got to see how this plays out. Right? And there's just too much uncertainty, right? And that's the biggest problem, as I said when we started. The institutions are going to hesitate. Right? How long, we don't know. But they're going to hesitate. So we have pushed the clock back. There's no doubt about it, right? So that's our reality. Okay, guys, I'm doing this on Thursday because I'm out of town tomorrow. It's my sister's, so it's my nephew. My nephew is getting married in Montana, so I'm going to be in Montana for the weekend. Be back on Monday. I'm back Sunday night, so I'll be back on Monday. We'll do our usual. So it's either Monday or Tuesday, depending on what we get from the members. And I am working on, it's bad timing, right? I've just been working on it's kind of a mini course on how to hedge with some bots for just this kind of situation, right? But it's just, to be talking about hedging now after it's happened is a little bit late for that strategy. But going forward, because this will not be the last time we see things like this, and it may not be the last time we see a sell-off like that throughout the course of this correction. But that is coming, and I've been working on it for some time. So I guess I'll tease you with that. All right, guys. All right, as is always the case, right? For if you want a little help on working on your TA skills, right? You can always join us for free. Right? You can always start there. Come on in. If you want to start to participate, you can upgrade into social. That's a very reasonable price. And start to get you into some of the rooms and you start looking at, okay, well, how can we manage through this? There are no easy answers, right? Trading is, as I would tell anyone, it's one of the hardest ways to make money. So hope you knew that when you came in it. If you didn't, well, you do now. All right, guys, have a good weekend. I'll be back on Monday, and we'll take it from there. All right, guys, take it easy.